Picture this, an entire country, a whole nation, teetering on the brink of all-out war. But not because of some invading army. Nope, it was all because of one single man. So let's set the scene. We're in Damascus, Syria. It's May 18th, 1965. A top-secret, coded message suddenly blasts out to every single political and military leader in the country. The orders are simple and chilling. Get to the capital now, and don't even think about leaving for the next 48 hours. At that exact moment, the border with Israel goes on the highest alert imaginable. And for the next 2 days, the entire country is on a war footing. I'm talking tanks, artillery, soldiers, everything is mobilized. But here's the crazy part. They weren't getting ready for an attack. They were getting ready for an execution. And while the army is on the move, thousands of ordinary people are flooding into Martyrs Square in Damascus, urged by the radio to come and watch. So that's the big question, right? What could one guy have possibly done to make a whole nation mobilize its entire military just to watch him die? It's an incredible thought. To get to the bottom of it, we've got to go back and figure out who this man really was. Okay, so let's rewind. Our story doesn't actually start in Damascus. It starts way back in Alexandria, Egypt. This is where a young boy, a kid with some truly unbelievable talents, was just living his life, completely clueless about the insane path that was being laid out right in front of him. This kid's name was Eli Cohen. He was born to a Syrian Jewish family, and right from the get-go, it was obvious he wasn't like other kids. For one thing, he had a photographic memory that was just off the charts. His classmates would even test him. They'd throw a bunch of random objects on a table, let him look for a split second, and boom, he could name every single thing and exactly where it was. And get this, during World War II air raids, while everyone else was running for cover, Cohen would just stand outside, totally calm, just watching. His friends called it reckless courage. And it's exactly these kinds of traits that made him the perfect candidate for a life no one could ever have seen coming. But, his journey was anything but a straight line. After getting kicked out of Egypt for his Zionist activities, he lands in Israel, but he feels totally out of place, like a complete outsider. The Hebrew people were speaking on the streets. It was nothing like the formal, classical version he learned. So he felt totally alienated, and he ends up stuck in this soul-crushing accounting job that he absolutely hated. I mean, can you imagine a guy with this much raw talent just withering away in some boring office? And this is where everything changes. He actually applies to the Mossad, the Israeli intelligence agency, twice and gets rejected. But see, that was all part of the test. They were watching him the whole time. Once he was in, the training was just relentless. They sharpened that incredible memory, taught him weapons, spycraft, the whole shebang. But the most important part, they literally built him a new identity from the ground up. He studied the Quran so intensely he could recite it from memory, no problem. And for the final piece of the puzzle, they sent him all the way to Buenos Aires. Because in Argentina, Eli Cohen was going to disappear forever. And in his place, Kamel Amin Thabit was born, a charming, super wealthy Syrian businessman who was, for all intents and purposes, the ultimate patriot. So with this new identity completely locked in, Kamel Amin Thabit was finally ready for the most dangerous part of his entire mission, to go home to a country he'd actually never set foot in. So after spending over a year in Argentina, just schmoozing and building his cover, he finally steps into Damascus in January 1962. And his first move just shows you the kind of nerve this guy had. He rents an apartment, right? And where is it? It's got a direct front row view of the Syrian Army's General Staff Headquarters. I mean, talk about bold. And on the very day he moves in, he sends his first message back to Tel Aviv. And just think about the sheer audacity of this first message, Code 88. That's it. It wasn't just, hey, I made it. It was a declaration. He was saying, I am in the heart of the beast. He put himself in the lion's den from the moment he arrived. And then, nothing. For weeks, complete radio silence. He was testing the waters, seeing if anyone had picked up his signal. They hadn't. The game was well and truly on. This really just goes to show the kind of insane pressure he was living under every single day. Back in Tel Aviv, he was just Eli, a quiet family man, a husband, a dad. But in Damascus, he was Kamel, a flamboyant, life-of-the-party patriot who threw these lavish get-togethers where government ministers and top generals would come to let their hair down and, well,
Gossip. He had to be two completely different people at the same time, without a single slip-up, in a world where one wrong move meant he was a dead man. Simple as that. So the question is, how on earth did he pull it off? How did this one guy manage to worm his way into the highest, most secure circles of the Syrian government and military? Well, his methods were just an absolute masterclass in what we call social engineering.
Yeah, he was an absolute genius at it. He knew exactly who to target. People like the nephew of the army's chief of staff, a guy who could get him into places no one else could go. His parties became the talk of the town, legendary events where the booze flowed freely and the secrets flowed even more freely. He got so close to these high-ranking officials that they started using his apartment as a safe house for their mistresses. This made him the keeper of all their dirty little secrets. He got so trusted, so ingrained in the system, that he became a regular political commentator on Damascus radio, passionately slamming Israel on the airwaves, all while becoming a close personal friend to General Amin al-Hafiz, the very man who was about to become the president of Syria. But maybe his most famous, most brilliant piece of spycraft didn't come from some secret backroom deal. It came from a simple observation. He was on a tour of the Golan Heights, this super fortified strategic high ground looking right down into Israel. And as he's looking around, he notices the Syrian soldiers are just getting baked alive by the brutal sun. So he turns to the Syrian officers with him, puts on his best concerned patriot face, and says something like, "I feel so bad for our soldiers. I'll pay for it myself. Let's plant some trees for them so they can have some shade." He pitched it as this generous, patriotic gift for the troops. And the Syrians, they completely bought it. They were touched by his generosity and agreed right on the spot. And this is where the pure genius of the plan comes in. Fast forward a few years to the Six-Day War. When Israeli fighter pilots were flying over the Golan Heights, they didn't need complicated maps or reconnaissance to find the hidden Syrian bunkers. Nope. All they had to do was aim for the lovely, shady eucalyptus trees that Kamel Amin Dabet had so thoughtfully planted for them. Absolutely brilliant. Now, for years, Cohen managed to operate at this unbelievable level. But let's be real, no deep cover agent can keep that up forever. The risks were just getting higher and higher, and Cohen himself could feel it. He could feel the walls closing in. On what turned out to be his very last trip home to Israel, he basically told his handlers at Mossad, "I'm done." He was completely burned out from the constant pressure of living this double life. He felt that his network had grown too big, that he was too well known, and that it was making him dangerously vulnerable. He wanted out, but they convinced him to go back. Just one last mission. So how did he get caught? Well, that's still up for debate, and there are a bunch of theories. The Syrians say their own counterintelligence guys just got suspicious of his weird habits, like he would never let a cleaner into his apartment. Mossad's internal review suggests he got sloppy, breaking protocol by transmitting too often and at the same time every day, which created a pattern that was easy to spot. Then there's the technical theory. His radio signals were accidentally interfering with the Indian embassy next door, and they reported it. And of course, there's the darkest theory of all, that Mossad basically threw him to the wolves, sacrificing a burnt asset who wanted to quit. We'll probably never know the real story. Which brings us right back to where we started, that square in Damascus. Why mobilize an entire country for one man's execution? Because the secrets this man stole, they did way more than just embarrass Syria. They completely redrew the balance of power in the entire Middle East. I mean, the impact of what he accomplished is just staggering. The intel he got on the Golan Heights was so specific. We're talking the exact location of every single bunker, every mortar nest. It was a literal blueprint for victory. He laid bare Syria's entire air defense system. He exposed their secret weapons deals with the Soviet Union. He even gave Israel a heads up on upcoming military coups and Syria's plans to cut off Israel's main water source. It was just one bombshell after another. When you put it all together, the conclusion is pretty much undeniable. To this day, military historians and intelligence experts agree. The information Eli Cohen provided was one of the absolute key factors in Israel's incredibly quick and decisive victory in the 1967 Six-Day War. But there is a really tragic final chapter to his story. After they publicly executed him, his body was left hanging in Martyr Square for hours as a warning. And even now, all these decades later, after countless pleas from his family and the Israeli government, Syria has never returned his body. He is and remains the spy who never came home. And that leaves us with one final, kind of chilling thought. Modern satellite images have spotted something really strange in Iran. There are brand new football pitches being built right next to highly sensitive military and missile sites. Now, is that just a nice perk to boost morale for the soldiers, or could it be a 21st century version of Eli Cohen's eucalyptus trees, a perfectly innocent-looking feature that's actually hiding a much deeper strategic purpose? It just goes to show you, the art of the game, the art of deception, it never really changes, does it?